Hey YouTube, it's Team Rocket. We have a deck profile here for you from locals. This is Serge from Team Boss 7. Get that right?
Yep, Team Boss.
Yugioh represented over here. So let's get this done. It's a kind of a unique build, so take a look.
Okay guys, this is my Prophecy deck here. So let's get started with the monsters. Of course, what every Prophecy player needs to run, triple High Priestess. It's just too amazing not to run 3. I used to only run 2 and tech in Delg, the Dark Monarch, but now I just side them because Priestess is just, you can pop every turn and it just does too much work not to have it at 3. Of course, the little mini Stratos is what everyone's calling it, the Searcher. Search for any Spellbook spell card, add it to your hand.
It's kind of hard to see. What's the name of that card?
Spellbook Magician of Prophecy.
It's so shiny, can't see it.
2 Temperance of Prophecy. My choice to run 2 is just because it's a free card for a tribute. Like, you play a Spellbook of Secrets to search for a Wisdom, tribute him off, and you get a Priestess that you can protect with the Wisdom. It's really good. A lot of players play 2 Justice and 1 Temperance, or they probably won't even run a Temperance, but I think Temperance is really crucial to this build. My one-ofs for Spellbook monsters, for Prophecy, are Justice of Prophecy. At the end phase, when you use the Spellbook spell card, you can banish her and add 1 level 5 or higher light or dark spellcaster type monster to your hand and 1 Spellbook spell card, which lets you set up for those Priestess plays. A lot of times you're stuck with 2 Spellbooks and a Priestess or something, and as soon as you go off of their effect, you'll have 3 Spellbooks and 2 Priestess. You can drop both of them at once, go for a big eye, whatever. But she just really helps with that hand setup. 1 Stoic of Prophecy. Some people play it, some people don't. I think it's really good. It's just extra setup. When they destroy your tower, and your tower is the only thing you have, it hits the graveyard, and that counts for itself, so you can go straight into Stoic, and as soon as he's gone, you can go for the Justice or Temperance. For my monsters that are not Prophecy monsters, I've got 2 Breakers. Breaker's just amazing. You put Breaker on the field, and if you have a Spellbook of Wisdom, your opponent will probably Bottomless or Torrential. Then you just drop Spellbook of Wisdom. He's unaffected by traps, and then you just pop another back row, and you got to pop 2 back rows with him. Of course, Double Veiler. It opens the deck up to Synchro, and just...
People forget it's a spellcaster.
Yeah, it's just a great hand trap overall. 2 Copycat.
What?
Copycat.
People haven't seen these in a long time. Show the effect here.
Yeah. If you're having a hard time getting over something, you go Copycat. Copy its attack, run it over. Crash into it. And with Spellbook of Power, it is a spellcaster. It'll gain 1,000 attack, and then you just inflict 1,000 damage, and you get to search with Spellbook of Power. This card really puts in work. And of course, with the tower, your hand size gets ridiculous, so you want to go with the Trags. You're drawing 2 every turn with Spellbook Tower, and it's just, it gets really huge, not to mention its effects. You can take anything, you can use it for an Exceed.
So I gotta ask you the question now that everybody's gonna ask. You play Lights and Darks, and there's a card missing. You thinking about adding in it?
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about it.
Get BLS in there?
If I put a BLS in here, I'm sure it'll do work. Especially, you're drawing 2 cards every turn, you know? It's not like it'll be too much of a dead draw if you get it, too early or something. But definitely thinking about it.
At least Chaos Sorcerer is a spellcaster, so you can go that way too.
Or Chaos Sorcerer. Now that the Lights and Darks, now that I have more of each from my previous build, definitely considering that BLS or the Sorcerer. So that's it for monsters. So let's go with the spell lineup. We got triple Spellbook of Secrets, the Searcher. It even lets you search Spellbook Magician of Prophecy because it says any Spellbook card. It's so amazing. You banish something with Priestess, play Secrets, go into Eternity, play Eternity, get whatever you banish back. It helps loop so many things. And it's really amazing. It's a great card. And the card that makes everything run. The Grand Spellbook Tower. Once per turn during your standby phase, by sending a Spellbook spell card in your graveyard to the bottom of your deck, you can draw another card. So you're drawing 2 cards every turn. And when it's destroyed, you get to special summon a spellcaster from your deck whose level is less than or equal to the number of spellbooks in your grave. And that is amazing. Even if you have no other spellbooks in the grave, you can go for Stoic. If your grave is really big, you can even get a Priestess right off of that. You hardly get to, but I mean the option's there.
Do you always get that with your first Secrets play?
Normally what I try to do, it all really depends on the hand. Like if I have to use Secrets, I will go play Secrets to get it in the grave, search for Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, summon Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, and then there's a Spellcaster requirement where you have to control Spellcaster for Tower to work, or there has to be one in the grave.
Oh, there you go.
And you go for Magician. Magician lets you search. Then you go for the Tower. And you play the Tower, and even if the Magician gets destroyed, the Tower's effect will still work. And that's how your second draw start. We've got 2 Spellbook of Power. You target 1 face-up spellcaster type monster you control. It gains 1,000 attack, and whenever it destroys a monster, you get to add a Spellbook spell card from your deck to your hand. You can only use once per turn, just like Spellbook of Secrets can only be once per turn. And of course, you can't search Secrets with Secrets. But it really helps, especially with the monster lineup you have. Breaker can turn into 2,600, Priestess into 35, even Copycat match them, and then just increase it by 1,000. So the fact that you can run over something and then you get to search again is just amazing. If you go Secrets into Power, and then you can go into any other spellbook you want. Spellbook of Wisdom. This card is unbelievable. You get a Priestess on the field, the Torrential. You play it, you can either declare spells or traps. Whichever one you choose, the monster you targeted is unaffected by that. Like I said, the Breaker plays are really important. You go Breaker. When they try to bottomless or something, you play this, and then you get to pop another back row.
It's cool because it's like Lance, but you don't have the drawback of the attack loss. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then you play Power over it if they played a trap. And it's too good. My one of for the Spellbook spell cards, I've got 1 Spellbook of Life. It's the Premature Burial, essentially. The only thing you're doing, people, by MSTing this is changing the level, unless you MST on activation. So there's something for you guys. Banish a Spellcaster, reveal a Spellbook spell card in your hand, and special a Spellcaster, and then it gets equipped with this card and gains the level of the Spellcaster you banished. So really great for the Veiler plays. If you've got like a Breaker, you can play Spellbook of Life, banish a Temperance, bring back the Veiler, and then you can synchro for an 8, or you can use it for Exceeding. It's really great level manipulation. Lets you go into your extra deck a lot more than you normally would. Spellbook of Eternity, one of. It's amazing because it lets you loop everything together. You can banish something with Priestess, play this right away. You get back your banished Spellbook spell card, then you can just play it and go off for another search or something. And finally, the card I believe every Prophecy player needs to play at least one of is Spellbook of Fate. If you control a Spellcaster, you banish Spellbook spell cards. If you banish 1 Spellbook spell card, you can return 1 set spell or trap on the field to its owner's hand. If you banish 2 Spellbook spell cards, you get to choose a face-up monster and change it into face-up defense, face-down defense or face-up attack. And if you banish 3 Spellbook spell cards, you can banish a card on the field. This effect does not target, and it's amazing. I've gotten over an obelisk with this, and it just does too much work. And of course, 2 dualities help speed up the deck a little bit. 2 Wonder Wands. Wonder Wand. You search for that Spellbook Magician. You play him. You get another search. Even if he gets Veilered, you play the Wonder Wand, send them both to the grave, and you draw 2.
Your drawing and searching is incredible in this deck.
Yeah.
So much of it.
And not only that, it's like I've gotten a breaker to be, a breaker comes out at 19, a Spellbook of Power, 1,000 more, that's 29, and if that's still not enough, you get that extra little 500 power boost with this.
Wow.
It's a really great card in this deck. One of my favorite cards in this deck, Magical Dimension. The High Priestess has no summoning requirements. You can be special any way. So a lot of times you'll play your Spellbook Magician and set this for next turn. Let them go into their battle phase. Then you play Dimension. Tribute a Spellcaster and Special Summon a Spellcaster, which occur at the same time. So it is not a cost. So if your opponent does not negate this or chain to this, when it resolves, you can choose to destroy a monster on the field. So you'll hit one of their monsters, and because it's resolving backwards, you can get over a Stardust. You can get over things like that. So this card is really great in this deck, especially with all the spellcasters.
If you had room, would you play more or just the one?
I'm playing one right now. I could definitely see myself playing two. I would just have to find a way to make room, because I even had to cut down Spellbook of Life to fit in like the Trags. But if there's room for it, I'm definitely considering putting another one in.
All right.
Staples everybody's got to have. Dark Hole, Heavy, Monster Reborn. Heavy, I think, is a really great card in this deck because you don't have to worry about the Starlight Road too much, because pretty much every turn you're popping something with the Priestess, Breaker, or something. If it's rarely happened where I haven't hit a Starlight Road if they're playing one, and then once one of them's gone or something, then you have a little more confidence to play the Heavy Storm.
Can you set off your own field spell with that? With Heavy Storm?
No. Spellbook Tower has to be your opponent's card effect.
Oh, okay.
Destroying it.
Because that'd be too much fun, right?
Yeah. And of course, the trap lineup, I run 4 traps, 2 Compulse, and 2 Bottomless. Compulse is my favorite of them. Compulse lets you get around so many things. Zen mains, anything, really. It's just too amazing of a card this format not to have it.
And why Bottomless over the warnings?
I feel sometimes the deck doesn't open the way you want it to open, and sometimes you're going to have to give up some life points to start setting up your plays. There's been plays where I've had to I've had a Priestess and 2 Spellbook spell cards, and I've had to sit there and hope I draw the third. But with a tower, you're drawing 2. If you have to be willing to take some life points, and I feel the warnings are just going to that 2,000 point cost is just going to be too much for me sometimes. So that's why I'd rather play Bottomless. And not only that, it has that little extra thing where it banishes the monster you use it on.
Get rid of those fortresses and Graphas running around. I can see that. Cool. So do you have a side and extra?
Yeah, here we go.
This is the extra? Cool.
Shining Elf. Oh, this card is too good. Sometimes you'll set a Spellbook Magician. Your opponent won't run it over first turn. Next turn, you flip it, search for secrets, play secrets, search for another one, play it, search for another Spellbook spell card, then overlay into Shining Elf. Shining Elf, when your opponent normal or specials a monster, you detach and that monster loses 500 attack, which means they've got to have a 2100 monster to summon to even crash into this. If they're not willing to do that, then they're going to have to waste resources to get rid of it. It's a really great card for this deck, especially with the Spellbook Magicians in there. 1 Zen mains, 1 Leviair for the rank 3s. Rank 4s, I've got number 50, Black Ship of Corn, Maestroke, Abyss Dweller, and Photon Papilloperative. And then straight to the rank 7s, Hierophant of Prophecy, and number 11, Big Eye. For Synchros, I run Ally of Justice Catastor, Arcanite Magician, Black Rose Dragon, Ancient Fairy Dragon for that mirror match. If you're playing that mirror match and you go into Ancient Fairy, you destroy their field spell and search for your own. Really helps out a lot.
Not to mention Dark Worlds.
And Dark World, any matchup with field spells really. And 1 Stardust and 1 Scrap Dragon.
Now there's no 6s in there. Do you not have opportunities to make a 6?
As far as 6s go, to get a 6 or 7 sometimes, it's depends a lot on level manipulation from Spellbook of Life. You can search it out and play it, but a lot of times you want to focus on keeping that priestess popping every turn, so I decided not to go with any 6, and I rarely go into my 7s.
Okay. Alright, side deck, where the magic happens, right?
Yep, side deck. I like to play a little more grave control sometimes when I'm going up against, I don't know, like I played Light Sworns once, you know, help me keep like their Judgment Dragon at bay. But it's 2 Kaikos. Kaiku so amazing, your opponent can't banish any cards in the graveyard. And when he inflicts damage, you get to banish 2 monsters in their grave. So that means for them, that means no BLS, no Chaos Sorcerer, things like that. And if I really want to go extra crazy with the graveyard control, I go Delg the Dark Monarch. Delg the Dark Monarch is searchable with Temperance, and you special him right away. His effect works when he's specialed or normaled. So you special him with Temperance, banish 2 cards in their graveyard, and then they've got to mill 2. So you banish what you want to banish, and they mill what they don't want to mill. It's a really amazing card. 2 Snowman Eater. I know it's really weird for this type of deck, but I got tired of the Lagias and everything like that, so I decided to side these guys in. Something Keaton really knows about. 2 Defusions, just for those heroes. I haven't seen too many heroes around lately, but I feel like if you run into them, here it is. You don't have to worry too much about them. For Dark Worlds and things like that, Insectors, Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. Really hurts, makes your opponent have to waste an MST on this and focus off of your tower and your other Spellbook cards. 2 Decrees, because I've lost in sudden death to Chainburn, which was really bad. Hated it so much. Chain Disappearance. Hit the tour guides, hit, you know, those little wind-up monsters, anything like that. And finally, 2 Soul Drains. Extra for Dark Worlds, and I got tired of losing to Chaos Dragons too. So
And Mermails. That's the hot side card for Mermails.
Yeah.
Alright. So, any last comments on the deck? People looking to play this, you have any advice for them?
Yes. My advice to them is play Spellbook of Fate. Play it. Whatever you do, just play at least 1.
It's that good, huh?
You recycle so much. It doesn't even matter that you have to banish cards. You have Eternity, which you can recycle. Play Spellbook of Fate. Other than that, that's it.
Alright, cool. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah, no problem.